What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson. And first off, big thanks to Underdog Fantasy. Don't forget to scan that QR code and sign up today. Got a couple things I want to chat about. First off, we heard Will Dawkins speak to the media a couple days ago. I've been thinking about that and have a few thoughts for you guys there. And we'll hop into a little bit of draft talk as well. Darryn Peterson might be the most interesting man in college basketball right now. Again, some takeaways from his situation last night. Appreciate you guys and all the support here on the page. We're right at 800 subscribers, so I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Big shout outs to Live Ride 59, Multiverse Joe, Mr. Hakeem, Stuart O'Flaherty, Renard Miller, Joseph Gadsden, Mo Froman, Baltimore Get Up, didn't forget about you, Dante Payne, and John Loftus. You guys have been consistently down in that comment section. Really, a lot of you guys since the early days of this page. Appreciate the support so much here, you guys. Keep tuning in. Keep dropping your thoughts down below. And let's jump in today. Will Dawkins with some quotes here over the weekend a couple days ago now. And first off, on Anthony Davis, I think there was a couple of points of interest. First off, Chris Haynes said a few days ago that it didn't seem like Anthony Davis, or wasn't expecting Anthony Davis from what he was hearing, to maybe play at all this season. Well, Will Dawkins, at least, when talking to the media, said, hey, not so fast. I do. He pretty quickly said, yeah, we expect AD to play this year. It sounds like Davis going back to Dallas here and then to kind of continue his rehab process, and then we'll be back with the team sometime after the All-Star game. But I thought it was notable, or of note, that he quickly said, yeah, I do expect him here to play this season. And I do believe him. I know the rug still could be pulled on that, but unless, especially, if he weren't to play, if things were really close, with the bottom four situation, trying to hold on to the draft pick. But I think for the organization, it's pretty important to get him and Trae Young actually on the court this season. With Trae Young, you're going into an extension situation here, possibly over the summer. And then Anthony Davis, you don't really want to extend this year. Maybe you don't ever want to extend, to be quite honest. I mean, that's yet to be seen how that goes here in DC. But you want him on the court next year, and you want him to kind of buy in and say, hey, this could actually work with Trae Young, with Alex Sarr, with whoever that pick is, and kind of all the young talent with the team. Now, I also want to say the Wizards might actually have some opportunities to do that, at least as of February 1st. And according to Sleeper Wizards, they had the ninth toughest remaining schedule in the league. So there might be some opportunities to maybe, I know there's a couple of Detroit games later in the season, to maybe match him up there where, you can play well, but not actually win the game, and everybody walks away feeling kind of happy. Now, you also, could throw in maybe one tank versus tank game, two teams around the bottom of the standings. Let me look down at the schedule. Maybe a game like, let's see, maybe a game like Brooklyn late in the year where, everybody's kind of expecting, maybe the guys to rest, and then the Wizards actually trot out, their top lineup now, and get a win there and have everybody feel good and they play really well. Now, again, that would have to come down to where that bottom four situation is. Do you have the leeway to do that or not? But the second point I want to chat about from what Will Dawkins had to say was that, what was this? When you have AD at the 4 and Alex at the 5, it opens up so much space for the other players. It opens up space for Sarr. And I thought that was notable because we now sort of know the future. It's going to be a two big man lineup right next year with this Wizards team and with this Wizards roster. But Will Dawkins keeps saying Alex isn't a 4. He's a center. And that's how the Wizards have kind of brought him along. And also, on the other part of that, Anthony Davis, his whole career, never has really wanted to play the center position, has always preferred to play the 4. And I've said on the page a whole bunch, like, you pair another big man with Alex Sarr, you kind of let him do a lot of the dirty work. Alex Sarr can step away from the hoop, kind of show off his skill at the offensive end, and then kind of be this, versatile weapon defensively. Well, maybe it's actually, now that you add an Anthony Davis and have him at the 4, it's actually the other way around. It's Sarr taking a little bit of pressure off of AD, right? And again, with those two as your defensive duo, that seems like, I mean, just a wild combination, to be quite honest. And I also want to say, I think Alex Sarr, especially in year three, is going to be ready for that role, especially with some added front court depth to help him out, who he's also, going to help out now in his 30s, that being Anthony Davis. But think about this year. Alex Sarr has played the center position, I mean, firmly, guards other teams' centers. He's protecting the rim a lot. And especially early in the year, he was protecting the rim a lot. I mean, he was contesting a ton of shots, one of the league's leaders. I don't have this stat now, but I'm sure still up in that range, if not right at the top. I know the first 20 games or so, the shots he contested like within 6 feet of the basket was like 20 more than anyone else in the league. And so I think you've brought him along here in his first 2 seasons in kind of a difficult situation where he's guarding way more shots than he should at the rim. You don't really have great perimeter defense. He's battling really on his own down in the lane. And now when you give him an Anthony Davis to kind of supplement things in the front court, oh my goodness. I mean, it feels like the sky could be the limit for an Alex Sarr. Now, let's talk D'Angelo Russell here real quick. D'Lo, what Will Dawkins had to say. And sounds like not going to report to the team after that deal. Frankly, probably good for a Washington. I don't really think the $6 million matters a whole bunch. I mean, you could correct me if you can figure out otherwise there. Doesn't seem like, I mean, at least for this year, that matters a whole bunch, and he's headed towards a player option. But I mean, to be quite honest, there's not really a whole bunch of use in having him on the roster. I mean, he takes probably just some time and minutes away from the young guys that we would rather see out there. Again, maybe he gets hot and has a few good games, and then you might get a good performance out of a lead guard that you don't really need. And if it's going to be anybody, you don't need it from him. Like, rather have Bub Carrington or Trey Johnson have a game like that. So don't really see, I can see why the team isn't super interested and seeing why he's not really interested either. But I do wonder, I mean, how many more stops are there for, D'Lo here now in the league, in the NBA at this point in his career? Before we hop into a little bit of draft talk, Darryn Peterson chatter here today. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back in. Underdog is the best place to win to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right when you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. For today's Lakers-Spurs matchup, I'm selecting Victor Wembanyama for higher than 22.5 points and Austin Reeves for higher than 4.5 assists. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 hotline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
So I said at the top, Darryn Peterson might be the most interesting man in all of college basketball. As an on-court prospect, I mean, he might be the only guy when you look at sort of this top three, and I'm going to make it a top four now with Caleb Wilson in that mix as well, who we were chatting about yesterday. Go check out the episode if you didn't already. Of course, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons as well. But as an on-court prospect, he might be the only one in this group that really doesn't have a flaw. I mean, when you look at DeBonsa and Wilson, maybe the shooting is a little bit of a question, at least from the three-point line. And then with Boozer, for me, I was chatting about this yesterday. I think it's clear that at the college level, he's clearly just not only, more skilled than the guys he's playing against, but also a lot stronger. And when you put that combination together, it's pretty much unstoppable, again, at the college level. And I think that gives him a high floor in the NBA. I wonder about where his ceiling maybe is. I'm not saying he can't be, but is what you're seeing going to translate into a star, or is it just going to be, a good player at the NBA level? And again, I wonder if, on the Wilson front, is that ceiling maybe a little bit higher? Maybe is there a little bit more potential there? Peterson as a guard to me, though, looks, I mean, kind of like this perfect prospect. If I wasn't so fired up about, the Trey and Trey backcourt for next year, which I've just kind of had visions of, I don't know, that combo excites me, might be saying, hey, this is the best talent available. And generally, I'd say, especially, in the NBA draft, you can't pass up, the best talent. I know fit matters, and fit matters for sure. But again, especially in the NBA, when you feel like something is generational, you can't pass on that. The problem is he doesn't play, and it feels like load management has come to college basketball, right? That's what everybody's kind of saying, and ruled out before yesterday's game against number one Arizona, an upset win, by the way, 10 minutes before the game with flu-like symptoms, and then you see him kind of on the court in warm-ups on the bench, and he looks totally fine. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, but the flu, it's a virus, right? It's contagious. So, I mean, if it was like he couldn't be around the team thing, well, that clearly wasn't the case because he was hanging out and, had smile. My other rule of thumb here is when you're really sick, I mean, think about how hard it is just to get you to crack a smile. Like somebody makes a joke to you, and you kind of, you half do it. I'm sorry to make a weird face there, but that's kind of the face you make, right? You don't really. Again, when you feel really sick, everything just has you beaten down. And he was laughing and smiling in pregame warmups. That's one tell for me. And early in the year, when this was just injury stuff, my thing was, hey, I mean, is this a question mark of durability? I mean, if you're not staying healthy at the college level as a freshman, I mean, what's gonna keep you healthy in the NBA? Kind of one of those things when you show me who you are, this is probably, who you are. But again, the second thing for me is that now with the flu situation, I mean, I hate to be, the guy that goes, oh, you should have just toughed it out. I realize it's easy for fans to say that, but it does feel like that a little bit. We're looking at you and you don't really look sick, but you're not playing. I don't know. Let me know again if I'm reading too much into this stuff. And like I said before, I can kind of envision, Dibonsa in the mix with, the Trey, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, and kind of the rest of the group. To me, that seems like you could slide it in, and that really fits very well in AJ Dibonsa. But I'm not sure. Again, I do have the belief that in the NBA draft, if you think a guy is just the best player available and is going to be significantly better than maybe the guy that you would pick over fit, you have to go that route. And so, if that's how you feel about Peterson, am I maybe reading into some of the extra stuff a little bit too much? We're going to quickly jump into the comment section here. Again, appreciate all your support down to the page. I was surprised. I thought that my Caleb Wilson maybe having a higher ceiling in the NBA was going to get a little bit more pushback than a Cam Boozer. A lot of you guys kind of agree. Looks like Al Campbell believes that as well. Mr. Hakeem, you have Wilson as the third best prospect behind Peterson and Dibonsa. For me right now, it's Peterson, Dibonsa, kind of neck and neck. And I would say, again, if Peterson had just played all the games, there might not be a race there at all. And then probably Wilson and Boozer, the next two, I also think for different reasons are kind of also neck and neck in kind of that lottery race. Live Ride 59, shout out to you as always. We can't take hard enough. Brooklyn, Indiana, Sacramento may not win another game this year. Utah, Chicago getting in on the action. And I mentioned this yesterday that and by the way, I want to quickly shout out I'm going to shout out here to Multiverse Joe because man, I really appreciate the compliment here, the support. Again, you and Live Ride 59 have been just on the page forever, as long as I can remember, and always dropping your thoughts, always giving me kind of some good insight as well into the show, kind of just, where you guys are at on some of the topics. And also, I mean, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I feel like the content has gotten a lot better since we started this past summer. So again, appreciate all the support here on the page. And then on the tanking situation, like I said earlier, I believe here in today's episode, the Wizards do have a top 10 schedule in terms of strength for the rest of the year. And I know there's going to be a couple Tank Fest matchups against Indiana right after the All-Star break, Charlotte really as well. And I do think you're going to see, I mean, some stacked injury reports over kind of this month of February and into March. And then I wonder, again, I mentioned earlier in the show, I do believe we're going to see a little bit of AD and Trae Young out there. So I wonder where the games are maybe that get fit in. Maybe if it's like that OKC or Detroit to OKC to New York stretch in mid March there, I can maybe see it working there. Maybe the Lakers and Philly at the end of March, those kind of couple of games where you could see them on the court. I'm really just speculating there. No no reports there to confirm. Other than that, we do expect to see them play just based off of what Will Dawkins is saying. But that's going to wrap up our show. Appreciate all the support. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Drop your comments as well. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.